we're here to talk about Kanban boards. It's a system that I have accidentally become very passionate about because it has revolutionized our lives in the Ann house. It's one of those magical systems that works really well with an ADHD brain and a super organized brain, and somehow creates a language that we can all speak. And so it's infiltrated every single aspect of our lives, from chores to laundry to how the kitchen's organized to my office, how I plot. Well, I actually was plotting books this way before I technically understood that Kanban was what I was already doing. But now I use it for my to-do lists, my marketing, book launch strategies. And even though my husband was already using Kanban at work because he's an engineer and Kanban was invented by engineers, he read my book and realized he could do a variation of it on his desk. And so now it has infiltrated his offices as well. And there's a reason for it. It's because out of all the systems out there, it's just simple. And I have found in my life that simplicity is the key to everything, because Kanban is this: 3 empty boxes. Whether you go left to right, like is traditional Kanban, or you go top to bottom, which is what a lot of writers like to do, especially if you're using it as task management. I think top to bottom is a much better orientation than left to right. You can make them small, like the one I just had. You can make them big. These are foam boards I get at Walmart. I have them in every color that they have available because I like to break my Kanbans up by tasks. So this will be a book. So I'll use this one for plotting a book, whereas this one right here is a book launch Kanban board, and this one right here is a brand marketing board. They have different goals. And for me, that is one of the primary beauties of Kanban, is it helps you identify a goal and then break down the steps that you need to achieve that goal, as opposed to just having a lot of things to do all the time, all over the place, sticky notes everywhere, feeling overwhelmed. It takes that feeling of overwhelm, of not being sure exactly what you're going to do next, and it creates order from the chaos by using something as simple as 3 empty boxes. So what is the 3 empty boxes? I make my middle box tiny because this is the place where you want to be very focused. But the idea of 3 empty boxes is that psychologically, we like to fill empty things. If you've ever moved into a new house and thought, oh, look at all this space, this is so wonderful. And then a year later, you're going, oh, I have no more space. I need to get rid of some stuff. I need more bookshelves. It's always a problem with me. I need more bookshelves all the time. Then you're familiar with the idea that we like to fill things. And so having empty things psychologically automatically gives us a place to put the things that we need to do. It also gives you that feeling of satisfaction because you do something and then you are done with something. And so you're taking physically, tangibly, things that you need to do, you're doing them, and then you're putting them in your done pile, and you get to see that box fill up with all the things that you've done. So the 3 boxes are things that you need to do. The tiny box in the middle is what you are working on right now, and then what you've completed. And by taking, just instead of like ordering things and knowing from the get-go, I have to do this first, or this is more important, it's not about assigning value to what you need to do to complete a task. It's about just getting it out there. And so a lot of people use sticky notes. You can use note cards, anything visual and tangible. You put every little thing on it that you need to do. You know, in the case of my book launch board, it's things like book cover, pre-order links. I always create a Google document that is my master document for each book, and it has, the ASIN numbers, the book ID numbers, all of the clean links, any short links I make, book descriptions, and then eventually any reviews that I want to keep copies of for the future. That's all in that document. I have to, know to populate that document. I need to know when to update my website, contact bloggers, contact retailers about maybe getting a feature, book ads. All of those things go up here in the to-do column. And anything that comes up, I'm like, oh, this would also be a great idea, or this one person said they would be really interested in reading this book. You can create a temporary task to add to it as well. Generally, these are permanent tasks for me. So when I complete a book launch, these all reset to the top of the board. And the next book that I launch, I will do all of the same things all over again. The great thing is that you have all these things to do. So now you know what you have to do. You haven't given it priority. You haven't given it value. You just know these are the things I need to do. You can arrange your board in clusters if you want to, in order if you want to. Your specific tasks need to be done in a certain time or a certain order, you can then reorder those things so that they make sense to you, but you don't have to. So what I do, I come into my office in the morning. It's morning right now. You can see the beautiful morning light. I'm not using a light kit today because I'm lazy and there was morning light, and I thought, hey, it's good enough. But then I wore black, and that was weird because it offsets the color balance. But you guys are okay with it because this is a free video and you're fine with that. So you sit down and you look at all the things that you have to do, and you go, oh, I need to do that today. And so you grab it and you put it in your doing column. You don't look at this column anymore. This column is dead to you because now you're just focusing on what you need to do today. And only those things right here in the to-do column are your world. And you can work on them, you can not work on them, and when they're done, you get to move them down here to the done column. And if you don't complete the things in the done column, this is my favorite part, is how flexible Kanban is. You can leave them there in the done column, or you can move them back up to the to-do column because you're just not going to get to it right now. And that's my big hang up with planners and other things, is they're kind of permanent, and you have to cross it out if you didn't do it and move it to another day, or it gives me lots of feelings of overwhelming guilt, and then I stop using them. And if you stop using a system, it's not a system because you're no longer using it. And Kanban is great for me because I can keep using it. If I don't do something, it goes right back up into the to-do column. And if I want to, I can sit down tomorrow morning, look at all the things I have to do, and go, oh, I need to do that one. I want to do that one first. My husband uses colored push pins. Red ones are hot items he has to do right away. Yellow ones are things he needs to get to. And then blue ones are, they need to be done at some point. And so he uses a small color coding system to let him know what his order of priority is. With my brand board over here, I have these broken down by the sequence that things happen in my 3 to 4 month brand cycle. And so certain things over here in this to-do column can happen in different columns depending on the book launch, but depending on how I've assigned them, they have to happen on certain dates. Product launch has to be launched by a certain date. Freebie that goes along with my cycle for that marketing cycle has to be launched by a certain date. And so I've broken down my done column by date so that I can see what I have done and what I might be in trouble if I don't get to right away. So that's a really quick, basic rundown on Kanbans and why I use them and how to use them. We'll be back with another presentation to break things down a little bit more. Thanks for joining me.